As we see these radical shifts in technology, what skills or capabilities will future revenue cycle leaders and operators need that weren't really required before this AI boom? So other than just saying they need to understand AI to some degree, like what do you think the future leaders of revenue cycle are going to look like? What do you think the providers are going to be searching for that might be a little bit different than your historic profile of a revenue cycle leader?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. And I think it's going to be it's obviously their subject matter expertise is going to be important, but it's always going to be important. It's going to serve as the foundation, but that person's ability to work with AI to understand maybe the higher level of, configuring an agent of ensuring that their data is translated in a way that AI can have. It's just that interchange between AI. They're going to have to be a little more sophisticated around AI. The good news is a lot of it, it has a lot of the functions and it's built with a lot of the data elements, and companies like us are translating the data to be able to communicate the revenue cycle data. But that person in the future, they have to be able to, one, be creative in terms of how they leverage AI. So creativity is a very important function because prompts alone can mean the difference between millions of dollars for a hospital or losing $1 million. And that's just being able to prompt engineer. So they're going to have a prompt engineering perspective. They won't necessarily be able to be fine tuning experts, but there's going to have to be a little bit of fine tuning. Sometimes language and revenue cycle, it's still, it's picking up on the LLMs are picking up on those more. People have different language. The LLMs understand it all, but they sometimes don't know where to apply it to the data, because you might say something one way. You're going to have, I know you have like a accounting background. You're going to look at something completely different than me, and you might present it in a different way. So the models have to understand that. So in the future, the people have to have the ability to, one, do what's called a little bit of fine tuning, to be able to do a little bit of prompt engineering, be able to work with the prompts. They don't have to be programmed, but they have to understand this world. It's inevitable because a CFO that's looking to acquire facilities or to sell off facilities, the data that AI can provide in terms of that is undeniably impactful. And looking at why we're losing money, root causes, it's undeniable. It's overwhelmingly impactful.
This show is brought to you by Real Partners Consulting, a free-to-provider vendor selection support company. We help healthcare providers find the right revenue cycle partners across technology, consulting, and managed services at no cost to you. If you like what you've heard from today's guest, or if you're looking for any other partner in the revenue cycle space, let us do the heavy lifting for you. Reach out to me, your host, Ryan Downs, on LinkedIn or at rdowns@realpartnersconsulting.com, and I will personally help you find the right fit. Now let's get back to the episode. Yeah, I think the first thing you said is what stands out to me is just having still that industry expertise, that subject matter expertise, and knowing what to look out for that draws a red flag. And if you don't have that industry expertise, that's not going to happen. And so I think there's going to be
correct.
And maybe this is the accountant in me, like you said, my old actual educational background in accounting, be skeptical. And I think you could only do that well if you understand the industry, if you understand the subject matter. So in this case, revenue cycle. Because if AI is going to get you 90% of the way there, 95% of the way there, you need that expertise to get to 100%. Also, if AI is going to be wrong to whatever degree at the time, you need to be skeptical and knowledgeable enough to know.
Excellent point.
This doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
So I know.
And I mean, because, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just, and maybe I'm just like holding on to this because I consider myself a revenue cycle geek, right? And I'm always trying to keep up with the latest and greatest. So maybe I'm self-serving in saying that I think that's what's going to be needed as opposed to the creativity thing. That's a great point. But yeah, I really do believe that you're still going to need experts, period.
Oh, 100%. And you made an excellent point. I seen it happen. I see it happen almost on a weekly basis. AI it wants to make you happy to a certain extent sometimes.
Yeah.
And it might um, it might take an answer and maybe fib a little bit or, exaggerate on it a little bit. So there's no doubt you have to have that core foundational expertise, no doubt about it. But the people that have the core foundational expertise and leverage AI could outperform an entire building of people that have just the core expertise. One person with core expertise in the given subject and using an AI model could, in my mind, will be able to outperform, an entire group of people that are doing this. So that's why I think it's so important to have not only the foundation, but be able to leverage these tools. Because you need them both. You can't just have the tools. The tools alone just don't work. You need the experts, the consultants, the people that have them, but they have to be leveraging these tools to do that.
Yeah, it's almost like you need the prompt expert and the subject matter expert, because if you get the prompt wrong, but you don't know the subject matter, you won't be able to tell that the outcome is wrong. And if you get the
yeah,
and on the flip side, if you get the
well
prompt
said.
right, but you don't know the subject matter, well, maybe the prompt didn't actually fit the problem for the outcome that you're looking for. And so to some degree, that is still the infrastructure we live in today. We have our technical resources, we have our operational resources, but now that's just transforming to where the operators are going to be able to work much more directly with the technology. And I hope that it just kind of forces more cohesion between the two, because there's always, not always, often a big breakdown in that liaising between those departments.
That is
In
an
revenue
excellent
cycle.
point. That's spot on. You're right. There is. And you're right that hopefully they're starting to merge a lot more. It's not that you go to somebody to do a script for data. With AI, today you should be able to kind of start to interchange with your data, ask questions about it, and get to that drill down to those bottom line answers. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Now thanks for helping us think about what the future skill set might look like.